Welcome back. Let's look at our grammar. We're looking at past modals and phrasal modals of obligation. Okay, that sounds a little complicated, but it's really not. These past modals, phrasal modals, what are modals? Well, they're words like, should have, or was supposed to, needed to. Okay, and we're looking at these situations in the past. We're just focusing on the past tense. So we're going to look at should have, was supposed to, had to, and needed to describe obligations in the past. It says sometimes they have slightly different uses. Okay, so these are all pretty common in English grammar. So let's look at our first example, should have. I should have stayed home and studied. So what does that mean if you say I should have done something? Well, basically it was a good idea, okay, but I didn't do it. So when you hear somebody say I should have stayed home, I should have studied, it means they did not do it, okay? It was a good idea, but they didn't do it. Notice with should have, look at the verb that comes after should have, okay? Stayed, okay? Or if you say I should have studied, okay? Those verbs are in the past participle form, okay? So they're not in the simple tense, they're in the past participle. I should have done my homework. Do, did, done, or have done, okay? The verbs that are used with have, okay, they're in that past participle form, okay? So that's the structure that you need to remember. Should have plus the past participle. Next one. I was supposed to be studying this weekend. Okay, I was supposed to do something. And here we have the simple tense. And they say be studying, okay, but it's be. We'll look at that in a moment. But what does it mean, I was supposed to do something? It means it was expected, but I didn't do it. Okay, somebody expected you to do that. Let's see. I was supposed to call my friend when I arrived in town. Okay, well, she expected me to call her. I said that I would call and I didn't. Okay, it was expected. It didn't happen. All right, I was supposed to call. Okay, call, simple tense. So after supposed to, you need a simple tense verb. Okay, here the simple tense is be, but they're using this continuous form after that. Okay, I was supposed to be studying this weekend. In other words, studying throughout the weekend, not just one time, not just one day out of the weekend, but the entire weekend. Okay, so, but notice the verb be. Okay, let's look at the next one. I had to wear a uniform, so had to. Notice with had to, you have the verb, the simple tense. I had to wear a uniform. All right, had to is the highest form of obligation. It says, we were forced to do this. There was no choice about the matter. We had to do it. Okay, I had to stay late and finish my project. Okay, had to stay. Okay, so after had to, you need the simple tense form of the verb. Okay, let's see, look at the next one. I didn't have to go with my friends, but I did. Didn't have to. Didn't have to go. Go is in the simple tense. But I didn't have to go. There was no obligation. So if you don't have to do something, there's no obligation. You might have done it anyway, because you wanted to, but there was no obligation to do it. Another example that comes to mind, maybe your neighbor gives you a gift for your birthday, and you say, oh, you didn't have to do that. And your neighbor says, I know, but I wanted to. Okay, so they weren't obligated, but they wanted to. So you'll hear that sometimes. Look at the last one. I thought I needed to have more clothes. I needed to have, or I needed to. Needed to, and then the simple tense. I thought this was necessary. Okay, so if you say I needed to do this or I needed to stay home and study, you thought it was necessary, okay, and most likely it happened. So for this one, had to and needed to, most likely something happened or you did something or something was done, okay, because those two are the highest form of obligation. The rest of them should have, was supposed to, didn't have to, probably didn't happen, okay. All right, also I want to make a note of if you put a negative or a not in here, I should not have or I shouldn't have, then it's the opposite. Okay, it means you did something, but you regret it. Okay, I shouldn't have gone to the beach with my friends. Okay, still with the past participle. I shouldn't have gone to the beach, but you did. Okay, and now you regret it. Okay, you can put a not with was supposed to. I was not or I wasn't supposed to go to the beach with my friends. You know, but I did. I was not supposed to go anywhere. I was supposed to stay home and study. Okay, so you can add a not or negative in these and it will be the opposite. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and look at part B here. So it says choose the answer that is true for each sentence. We're just going to take a look at these. Maybe we can highlight them. Look at number 1. What does this mean? If somebody says, I shouldn't have invited them, does that mean I didn't invite them? Or does that mean I invited them? Let's see. B, it means I invited them. Say, I shouldn't have invited them. Okay. You're regretting it. It means I invited them. All right. So let's go ahead and we'll mark that one. Let's look at number 2. That was a secret. You weren't supposed to tell anyone. A, you didn't tell anyone. Or B, you told someone. B, you told someone. So you weren't supposed to tell anyone. That means you told someone. All right. Look at number 3. We didn't have to study for the test. Does that mean we forgot to study? Or we were prepared for the test? Remember what we said about didn't have to. Okay, there's no obligation. So, B. We were prepared for the test. Now, if we changed this statement in number 3 to we were supposed to study for the test or we should have studied for the test, then you could say we forgot to study. You know, if we should have studied, you know, then we didn't. We forgot to. But in other words, is we were prepared, so we didn't have to study. We were prepared. Number 4, I know Jane didn't like my cooking, but she didn't need to be so rude about it. So does that mean Jane was rude to me? Or Jane wasn't rude to me? It says she didn't need to be so rude. Remember what we said about need. If you needed to do something, if you feel that you need to do something, you did it. Okay? It's kind of a high obligation up there with had to. So we would pick A. Jane was rude to me. All right? All right. Let's see. Let's look down at C for a moment. Look at number 1. It says we're going to complete these sentences. Let's go down to C and complete these sentences. The first one is done for you. After I started high school, I had to study a lot harder. After I started high school, I had to be more responsible. Okay. Those are some high obligations. Look at number 2. I made someone angry once because I wasn't supposed to, what? Maybe I wasn't supposed to tell her secret. I wasn't supposed to ruin the surprise. Look at number 3. I wasted a lot of money once because I thought I needed to, what? Buy the latest technology. I thought I needed to have a new car or whatever, okay? Look at 4. When I had the opportunity, I should have applied for that position. When I had the opportunity, I should have gone back to school. All right, remember with should have. With should have, you use the past participle. I should have applied. I should have gone back to school. Okay. I should have asked for a promotion. So when you feel comfortable with these, you can look at the notes first and then go ahead and practice the review quiz below.